Everyone, how are we doing today? Today we have an interesting topic to cover, which is about descriptive statistics. My name is Vivian Anebunan, and I'll be guiding you through this amazing class today. Today we are going to ask ourselves some many questions today. Why descriptive statistics? Why do we even need to do statistics? What's the importance of statistics? Don't worry, just have that question at the back of your mind today. By the end of the class today, you should be able to answer those questions as a professional. So today I'm going to go with a baby step and then we'll graduate to the mastery level. Feel free to interrupt me anytime to ask your question in case you have any question. And I'm free here and I'm free to answer your question or questions as the case may be. The learning objective today is for us to understand the concept of descriptive analysis, apply Excel form, use Power BI to actually visualize our data, and explain how this data is important in health system. We move into the descriptive analysis. First of all, you ask yourself, from the meaning descriptive statistics, what is statistics? What is descriptive? What does it mean in general? Here, I mentioned that the descriptive statistics summarize and organize the characteristics of a data set. Ask yourself a question, what is data set? Now, let me show you from the Excel file that I've just generated at the cost of this lecture, and I'll be able to explain this part for you. This thing here, patient ID, patient name, patient province, etc. These are called data because they are raw materials. They haven't been processed. So now they are data. All of them together are called data sets. And if you are able to describe, analyze these data sets, you are doing what we call descriptive analysis. And the tools for us to enable this part is called what? The terms we are going to use here is the mean, median, mode, standard deviation, and the range. And we'll go through them one by one. I provided a sample here to show you the raw data and how it's been analyzed using the simple terms that I just mentioned. This is the data set we are using for this class, and I've already uploaded it in the course shell. You are free to actually download it and start practicing as I'm walking through it. Now, ask yourself a big question. The data set that I just showed you, how is it important? Why do we use it? How can I start analyzing? We will answer that question, or you should be able to answer that question at the end of this class. Now we move into the example application. How do we apply this descriptive statistics into the healthcare system? Why do we even need it? Why can't we just assume something? For instance, during the COVID-19 pandemic, people were able to say that there are so many admissions due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Also, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, there is staffing shortage in the healthcare system. How do they know? Do you think they just kind of wake up one day and assume? No, they collected some data and they were able to analyze it. Apart from that, it also helps us to understand the diagnosis, track disease, and arrive average satisfactory depending on the case. So these are the application, and this is why it's important for patient outcome, resource and allocation, etc. Now we are going to talk about the demo. This is the time that I want you to start working on the Excel file that I just sent to you. If you haven't, please download it from the course shell so that we can start. I want you to walk along with me because the mode of this lesson today is for me to walk one and you walk one. So I'm not going to do everything here, but I've provided an easy step for us to follow through. So first of all, how do we do this calculation, mean, median, and mode? The mean, we're talking about the sum of all values divided by the total number. When you get the value A, value B, value C, you calculate them together, sum them together, or add them together, and then divide them by the total number. You might think it's easy looking at this data set here, but it's not, because this data set seems so small to you. Imagine the entire healthcare record, like millions of data. Are you going to calculate it one by one and add it? Obviously, no. That's where Excel come to play a very significant role. So this part, I created a table for myself so that I will be able to actually analyze this data. To create the table is quite simple. Just highlight the part you want to use, right click on it and select format cell. Once you select the format cell, there will be a pop-up window that will come up. You can select your font, maybe italics and bold, whatever you want, size 14. The border should be this inside. You can select it or design it however you want it. Maybe I want something green, and that's it for me. And this is what I have. So I can come here and say, you can see it is bold and at the same time italics because of what I've selected. Media, mode, etc. So this is how I created this part here. And I'll walk you through on how these formulas work. I don't know. I'm starting from the scratch as if you haven't worked with Excel before. So if you want to start any function, you can do the function here. You can do it anywhere you want. But if you want to start any function, this is the function bar. This function, you can see that every of my function here has something in common. And that is what? They are all started with equality sign. Without equality sign, Excel doesn't see it as a function. It sees it as a normal text. So when we start with equality sign, Excel has understand that, oh, you want to calculate something, and then it's waiting for you to calculate something. So for us to do this mean, the mean formula is what? Average. Equality sign first. The average is a inbuilt formula in Excel. So this inbuilt formula is average. And once you mention it, the next thing that follows is the open and close bracket. In the open and close bracket, this is where you will state the column you want that calculation to happen, because Excel doesn't know the column you want. And I want to show you something. Whenever I mean column, because from now onwards, I'm not just going to call it column. I'm just going to say column A, column B. So this is column A, ID, column B, patient name, column C, province, etc. And this column A is what? Patient satisfactory score. So this is how I'm going to use it. And you can see that all my column calculations started from column A 2, column A 3, column A 4, column B 6. This is column B. This is number 6 of it. So this is how to calculate it. It depends on where you want to start. Now, because I started from 2 and I ended in 31, so if you look at my formula here, look at the formula board, it started from column 2, and we use this formula is to. This is not, some people will say column 1, this thing here. Some people say column 1, semicolon this. No, that's not it. Column I is to column I31. Column I2 is to column I31. The name is to. That's the statistical name you can use. And I will know that you're a statistician. So let's continue. This is the mean. This is the media. Media is talking about the middle number of any given value. Remember, you can do this calculation only in numerical columns. You can't calculate it in alphabetical column. Who can tell me an example of alphabetical column? Don't tell me diagnosis name. Mention the column like I told you. Column H, that's fine. So the alphabetical columns are example, column H, column F. But the numerical columns are column I, column D, column E. So any of these columns, you can apply this formula. Remember to change the column name here. If I want to use column E, I can actually change it to column. I can actually change this to column E here. And I should be able to get whatever value that I want. Now the value still remains the same because it's what? The middle value. The middle value is still the middle value. Now let's talk about the mode. The mode is what? The most occurrence. Very simple. Very simple. The most occurrence. Which of them occur the most? if you look at the data set, the formula still remains this. I added it in the file, in the PowerPoint, so that you can actually go through it and understand it and apply it. This Y1, copy it, paste it, and then I want you to do something. I want you to actually practice with it. I'll give you time for that. Instead of column D, I want to work from column E13 to E30, E12 to E14. Manipulate it that way. Let it get into your head so that you understand it more. You understand how this calculation works. So I provided you with the outcome here. And now this is for you to practice on it. Practice something, put it in the chat. Tell me what you've actually practiced, the column you worked on, and the answer you've gotten. Your time starts now, so start practicing. I'm looking at the screen and the chat. If you are stuck, please let me know so that I can help you out with it. Okay, so we move into the standard deviation. Same thing with range. Standard deviation, we are going to talk about how the values spread. What are the discrepancy? What affects this? Does it mean that the number of stay in the hospital is being affected by the diagnosis? What is the discrepancy there? What can we say about it? This is what we call standard deviation. Why the range is trying to understand the maximum and the minimum value in a data set. What are the maximum value? What are the minimum value? What is the difference between the maximum and minimum? Maximum is 99, minimum is 90. What is the difference? This is what range is all about. And this is the formula for standard deviation, and this is formula for range. Meanwhile, who can tell me the column that I use here? In the standard deviation, what column do I use? Good, column E. I'm expecting you to use column D or any other column that has numerical value. Okay, thank you. This is the YouTube channel with the link here for your review. It's an extra resource that you can actually walk through and understand. Now, the main thing I have to lie down into what? Pivot table and chart. Pivot table. Why do we need the pivot table? How is it important? Pivot table helps you to analyze the data into a tabular form and also be able to chart that data maybe into like pie chart, P chart, bar chart, etc. for more easy visualization. Okay, so it depends on the use case. You can look at the data set and say, I want to understand, does it mean that the number of the province has to there is a connection between the province and the number of stay in the hospital? Maybe in a province like Nunavut, where they have less practitioners, healthcare practitioners, does it mean that patient stays longer? It depends on the use case. In my own use case, what I want to analyze is that I want to understand what helps. This will help us to analyze the average number of hospital and the what per diagnosis. The number of hospital days, does it has to do with the diagnosis? You might want to understand the number of the province, does it has to do with the diagnosis? Why? How? These are the things that you'll be asking yourself. So first of all, for us to create a pivot table, I'll walk you through it in the Excel file. For pivot table, you can just click on any of the empty space in your Excel file sheet, and then you go to insert. Then you move to pivot table and chart. Select it. It's going to ask you two questions. The most important thing I want to focus on is the table range. You can, if you don't know the table range, you can select it manually, but this is not effective. Who can tell me how to select this table range in a more effective way? Because I'm able to do this reason because I have what? It's because I have a little data. What if I have a bigger data that I can select? How do you think I will be able to do it? Put it in the chat. Let me know what you think. Then I will select a new sheet. You can select the existing worksheet. That means it's going to put it here. But this place is very small for us. So I selected a new worksheet. It's going to create a new space for me. If I click OK, you can see sheet 5 here. It have created a new space for me. And remember my use case. My use case is to understand the length of days plus what? The diagnosis name. Let me know if someone stays in the hospital for a long time, does it affect the diagnosis? Does it have to do with the diagnosis? And obviously the answer is yes. If you look at the highest stay here, which is gastroesophageal reflux disease, it has the highest length of stay. And that's why it has analyzed it here and show you from the chart. This is what we call pivot table. Why this is what we call pivot chart. If you follow my step from the PowerPoint, you should be able to recreate exactly what I did. If you don't, please do not hesitate to let me know. Now, this is the outcome from the previous one I've just done. The pivot table and the pivot chart. Now, I want you to think of the way to create this particular bar chart. I will guide you here, but you will be able to create the picture yourself, okay? So just listen. For you to make a bar chart, to also analyze your data as well, you can go to the Excel file, the same spots, or you can create a new sheet yourself. It all depends, okay? So if I select this pivot table, by the way, I told you that the pivot table, you can use it to create any other thing you want to create. Just Control A in the pivot table, select all. You go to Insert, go to the bar chart, select any form of bar chart that you want. Let me go for 3D bar chart. Let me look for the color, the ones that I want. I'm gonna go for this one, okay? So this is what I've just created, as simple as that. As simple as that, using the same pivot table. Now I want you to highlight it here, go to Insert and select P chart. This is P chart. If you select P chart, you decide whatever you want to use it for. And this is P chart for you. Do you understand it? It's as simple as that. It enables you to understand the chart data in a very clear way. Instead of someone telling you, you can easily look at this data to tell me that this is the highest value, this is the lowest value, this is the middle value, this is the smallest value, just by me looking at the chart. This is the importance of pivot table and chart, to organize data, to represent data in a way that it will be easy to analyze. Okay,